from Bethlehem to church planting, and 10% of every dollar given to Treasuring Christ Together goes to the global diaconate to touch the poorest of the poor, and 80% is devoted to paying for North Campus startup costs south and ongoing vision things. None of that money touches the $7.4 million it takes to do the ministry and missions of this church. It's a totally separate fund. So Treasuring Christ Together, line 2 on your envelope, and Church and Missions, line 1 on your envelope, and that totals up to a need of $10 million a year or so in order to pay down the North Campus debt the way we hope to. So it's a huge thing. It looks breathtaking when you look at the numbers, and we simply pray earnestly and then try to live according to the text that we're going to look at in just a moment. So here are 2 questions I want to ask. Why do we do it this way? That's sort of a picture of what it is. Now, why do we do it this way? Just briefly with bullet points. And then the last question, how is it sustained? How does God mean to sustain this vision for decades? So question number 1, why do we do it this way? Maybe 4 or 5 questions. No, I just have 4 and bullet answers. Number 1, why not cease to grow and just work on the inner life of the church? There's plenty of work here. We're pretty imperfect folks and need to love each other better than we do. So why don't we just stop thinking growth and start just working on the inside? And the answer to that question is passion for the glory of God, love for lost sinners, and obedience to Jesus make that not an option. Number 2, why not grow only by planting churches and have only one campus? Just plant churches and handle growth that way. Answer: we are committed to planting churches, but we don't think we are able or called to steward growth by church planting alone. And both those words are crucial. Able, we're not able or called to steward growth only by church planting, partly by church planting. Number 3, why not grow by building one large complex downtown or in the suburbs instead of multiple campuses? Answer: there isn't room downtown for the complex and the parking, and we're called to be in the city. We're not going to the suburbs. Not while I'm the pastor. I'm not going to the suburbs. I live down here. I'm going to die down here, God willing. But I love people, and they live in the suburbs, and so we plant campuses there. But I work from the center. I'm an urban guy. I'm committed here, and I go there. We're not going to take this thing and plop it in wherever. So we believe we're called to the city, not just to the suburbs. And we believe that we see great advantages in 2,000 person campuses over a 6,000 to 10,000 person thing in one place. And I could give you a lot of reasons for that, but there's no time. Number 4, why not grow by multiple campuses with multiple preachers instead of just one with a video? Answer: for now, at least, we believe that the church-wide unity across multiple campuses is served best by a unified teaching on the weekend. We think different notes struck on all the campuses week after week, no matter how good the notes were struck, would pull us apart rather than holding us together. That may be God's will for us someday. The elders don't think that's God's will for us now, that we be pulled apart toward separate, independent churches. But if that's the case, then it appears that a unified teaching on the weekend will help maintain unity across the campuses. Now, dozens more things could be asked and dozens more things could be said, but that gives you a flavor of why we're doing it the way we're doing it. It wasn't an easy decision. We were years in the prayer and thinking about it. Now, let's go to the text. Because the text that I've chosen, John 12, especially verses 23 to 26, is the answer to my second question, namely, how shall we be sustained? How shall this mission, this strategy, treasuring Christ together, be sustained over the decades? Each of these four verses, 23, 24, 25, and 26, each of those four verses has in it, we will see, a destination or a goal or an end, and each verse has in it a pathway on which you must be to get to the goal. So what I want to do is walk through the verses and notice both the destination and the pathway. The destination happens to be spectacular, wonderful, joyful in every case, and the pathway is painful in every case. But don't hear the word painful as joyless. Don't hear painful as joyless. We all got that? Don't hear painful as joyless. The Calvary Road behind Jesus is painful. There is no getting around it. Through many afflictions we must enter the kingdom of heaven. There is no shortcut. The Calvary Road is the only road that leads to glory. It is painful and filled with joy. A very different kind of joy than many people have tasted. Sorrowful yet always rejoicing is the banner that flies over the emotional ethos of this church. We're always talking, I'm always pushing on the leaders and on the worship leaders. We are sorrowful yet always rejoicing, because I want people who come to this church broken in half by life not to feel like we are chipper. We don't like that word here. That's my bad word. We are happy with tears on our face. We've tasted the pain. We've been broken. We've been shamed. We've known pain. We've known loss. And we know unshakable joy. So don't hear when I say every one of these four paths are painful, don't hear joyless. Number one, verse 23. Jesus answered them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified." Now, the obvious thing in that verse is that the Son of Man would soon experience glory. That's obvious. The time has come for the Son of Man, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. So what's obvious in the verse is that He's going to be experiencing glory very soon. What's not obvious is the path. At least not in that verse, it's not obvious. But you know the path. And it's all in that little word, hour. The hour has come, and you should ask, what hour? And the answer is given in verse 27. Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? Now something bad's about to happen here. He wouldn't talk like that if something bad weren't about to happen. The path on the way to glorification is painful here. Father, shall I escape? Should you save me from this hour? But for this purpose, I have come to this hour. He's going to die. We all know what this hour is. He's going to suffer and he's going to die in a matter of hours from when he's saying this. So the hour is the hour of his death, and on the other side is glory, and there's the path, and there's the destination. Glory through cross. Number 2, verse 24. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Now that verse comes between verse 23, which is about Jesus, and verse 25, which is about us, and I think it's pointing in both directions. Who's the seed here that dies? And he's just said